And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking salaries, Sargeants, and controversies. Yes, we are looking at the highest paid drivers for 2023. Surprise, surprise, kind of a giveaway. Max Verstappen may be the highest paid driver. Next up, we're also talking Williams keeping Logan Sargeant. Now, I appreciate this may well be old news, but the interesting thing is motorsport.com have got an article on why signing with Sargeant makes sense. Will we agree with it? We'll get into that. But last but not least, controversy surrounding Toto Wolf and, well, his release of sensitive information. Get into that as well. This is the Hot Lap. Let's get into that first story of our highest paid drivers, shall we? As we head into the 2024 season, it's the 3rd of December at the time of recording, and highest paid F1 drivers revealed. This is from Jamie Woodhouse on planetf1.com. Now, as you know, Verstappen can add another area of dominance, it says, to his 2023 campaign with all the money he's going to be bringing in. And let's have a look at that list. I mean, as we know, the article goes on, it has been a masterclass for Verstappen. We know he has had, and Red Bull, a record-breaking year. You just need to watch one of our previous videos to understand that. And then for a second season on the trot, it says Verstappen tops the list with his 70 million earned. Lewis Hamilton, though, is at number 2, the 7-time world champion. It says was the P1 spot for the highest salary at the grid at 55, though another disappointing campaign. Kind of not much bonuses here as a winless season, a second winless season for Paul Lewis. Here's the list here, as you can see. So we've got Max Verstappen in the Red Bull on 70 million. So he has a 45 million salary, and this is dollars, American dollars, 25 million in those bonuses. Also, Lewis Hamilton, 55 million, but it says 0 bonuses. No wins. I'm sure, though, as we know, both Verstappen and Hamilton have their own personal sponsors. Third is Aston Martin's very own Fernando Alonso. And what a season he's had, his best season, really, since leaving the Ferrari team. Back in 2014. So we got 34 million for Fernando Alonso. That's 24 million plus 10 million in bonuses. Sergio Perez on 26 million in total. That's 10 million plus 60 million bonuses. The 5th is at Charles Leclerc on the 19 million. So that's 14 million with 5 million bonuses. Lando Norris on 15 million. That's 5 million as his base salary and 10 million in bonuses. I think he's one of the few here that's earned more on bonuses, thanks to McLaren's absolutely fantastic second half of the season, producing an amazing car in that second half of the season, and Lando Norris absolutely getting the most out of it. Carlos Sainz, 8 million with 6 million in bonuses. George Russell, 14 million in total for Carlos. That's 8 million on his base salary and 6 million bonuses. George Russell, 9 million in total, 4 million on his base salary and 5 million in bonuses, which is strange because it says here that Lewis Hamilton had no bonuses. Maybe there's more to that than meets the eye, but these are just estimated. I don't really think the teams release the official numbers. So equal ninth, we've got Pierre Gasly on 8 million. He's 5 million base salary, 3 million bonuses. And last but not least in that top 10 list is Oscar Piastri. Had a really good rookie year. Everyone's saying the most impressive since Lewis Hamilton. 8 million in total. That's 3 million base salary and 5 million in bonuses. Well done, Oscar Piastri, as well, and everyone in that top 10 list. They earn a lot more than I think many of us watching, and definitely more than me. But anyway, I digress. Enough of the sob story. So motorsport.com have got an article on why Williams F1 team are keeping Sargeant and why it makes more sense than you think. Maybe like a clickbaity article, but let's get into it. It's going to be potentially some interesting points that we can talk about. This is by Philip Claren, and Williams' call to hand Logan Sargeant a sophomore year in Formula One. It divides opinions. Absolutely it does. We've seen lots of differing opinions on social media. Obviously, Logan Sargeant, congratulations to him, though, on, let's be fair, keeping that Williams seat when it was far more than 100% that he was going to do it. And as we know, 22-0 in qualifying and 27-1 to 1 in points. Sargeant's been completely dominated by Alex Albon, it says, in his first season in F1 after being promoted earlier than expected when other options to replace Latifi fell through. And it says, looking purely at his results, which is what F1 is all about, Williams could have been expected to say, obviously, au revoir to the Sargeant, but they didn't. And they've extended his stay. And a lot of people have suggested why. And now Vowles has put his money where his mouth is. And to be fair to James Vowles, he's been really supportive of Logan Sargeant all the way throughout the season. He's been very philosophical, I want to say, in relation to what some of the difficult interviews he's given about Logan Sargeant, where a lot of journalists have suggested it's pretty much a given that he is going to lose his seat. Now, but James Vowles' thinking stems from the data that suggests Sargeant has been respectably close in raw potential to Albon, who's been hailed as one of the standout stars of 2023. Some people are saying he's the underrated driver of the year. Now, Sargeant's 7th place in qualifying at Las Vegas, it showed what he can do if he gets his act together. He was also within a tenth of Albon at the extremely tricky Lusail circuit in Qatar, it says, with the added difficulty of it being a sprint weekend. But those outliers came in with a series of high profile, and this is the difficult thing, these high profile crashes. That's something that Mick Schumacher was criticised for in 2022, and these high profile crashes, and that's what you can make an argument. I don't exactly have the data in front of me, but you can make an argument that Sargeant's obviously it was his rookie year, unlike Mick, but it was a lot worse in terms of crashes and silly mistakes. As we know, for example, you just need to go back to Abu Dhabi to see both his Q1 laps, which were really, really solid, being deleted for crossing track limits. The last race, as a rookie, is that really a thing you want a rookie to see? And this was amidst a Constructors' Championship battle that Williams could have potentially lost had both AlphaTauris been in the points, and Tsunoda was solidly in the points. I mean, yes, he led the race, not on merit, I guess, but he was up there, and all it needed is a couple of retirements and a bit of luck, or a safety car at the right time, and AlphaTauri may well have nabbed that spot away from Williams. Now, the old adage is that it says here, it's easier to make a quick driver more consistent than it is a slow driver to make fast. Now, Williams hopes that, armed with a year experience, Sargeant's 2024 campaign will build on the knowledge that he has gathered, having been urged to control the risks he takes rather than overdrive the car, trying to keep up with his faster teammate. Sorry, I forgot to change the headline there. But I mean, let's get into that. Logan Sargeant. We have, let me see, motorsport.com. We've got, obviously, the beautiful Williams drop back here. If I just close that for a second. But the reason we have the somewhat beautiful Williams drop back is I want to compare. Here's Logan Sargeant. I mean, we've got, he's 21st in the standing, points won. Obviously, no wins, no poles, etc. Best qualifying was 6th. Highest finish was 10th. But now compare that to his teammate, albeit somewhat more experienced. He was 13th in the standings. He had 27 points. Yes, obviously no wins, no poles, no podiums or fastest lap. His best qualifying was 4th. His highest finish was 7th. Okay, only 3 places more than Logan's highest finish. But, and this is the significant thing, it was the sheer consistency of Alex Albon that really, really trashed Logan Sargeant. Logan Sargeant was not consistent. The only thing he was consistent about, he was absolutely consistently at the back, which is not that great, is it? We've got Teammate Battle. This is a really wonderful website, which will be in our sources in the description, about this head-to-head, the overall season performance between Alex Albon and Logan Sargeant. Let's just take over the screen here, shall we? As you can see, I mean, there's a wonderful graph here, but as we scroll down, you've got you basically have the line graph, and for Logan Sargeant, it's pretty much a straight line until Qatar, where Alex Albon come Spain, just goes up and up and up, and not bad at all. Yes, okay, in the last few races, he was on 27 points, and not too great really, in the last few races, but he showed from Spain when the car kind of starts to get a bit better, a lot. So points in the season. Points in season 2027, obviously finishing 13th. You got the Delta, obviously no wins or anything like that. Times better position in the same Grand Prix, 19 times for Alex Albon. Only 3 times did Logan Sargeant beat him. Times better in the sprint. I mean 5-0. straight away. No sprint wins. Times better in quali based and starting grids. But I mean, just looking at that data, it does go to he just absolutely destroys Logan Sargeant, doesn't he? It's like he's not given. There's no hope there. I think one of the big issues for Williams was who are they going to replace? If they got rid of Logan Sargeant, who would they replace him with? And I think there's the issue there. Was it going to be Liam Lawson? That would have made a lot of sense. However, I mean, think about it. Liam Lawson would potentially only be on loan to Williams. I don't think Liam Lawson wanted to give up his Red Bull career like Alex Albon did, because they're and to be fair, they're very two different situations. He did not want to give up his career at Red Bull, because a lot of people have suggested that if Sergio Perez kind of fails in the first half of the year, he'll be gone. He'll be replaced by potentially Ricciardo or Tsunoda, and at that point, it will be Liam Lawson in the AlphaTauri. And if he can prove himself, maybe, possibly, he has a chance in one of the best cars at the moment, the best car in Formula One, alongside Max Verstappen. And obviously, Lawson believes in himself, as does Sergio Perez. At the beginning of the year, he thought he could become champion. He's making those same talks again about becoming champion. Fair play to Sergio. We love an optimist here. But yeah, and I think that's why Liam Lawson maybe didn't want to go to Williams, and Williams didn't want to take him, because they're just really giving experience to a Red Bull driver that won't be invested in Williams. But there's also talk, interestingly, of Alex Albon maybe going to Ferrari to replace Carlos Sainz, which I think is quite interesting. And then it makes you think, should a Williams then have gone with maybe another rookie with more promise? I mean, you've got enough out there, but you would have had to wiggle one out of their contract. And I think that could have been possible when you look at I mean, how many former not GP2, but how many former F2 champions have there been that haven't had really too much of a chance of a race seat, for example, or even Mick Schumacher? And I know that's something that Toto Wolf wanted. He wanted Mick Schumacher to go in that car, but for whatever reason, James Vowles wasn't quite agreeable. And I think Mick Schumacher, they could have done a long-term contract with him. I think Mick Schumacher would have been an upgrade to Logan Sargeant. And between him and Albon, it would have been really interesting to see who was fastest. And I think a lot of people would have maybe bet on Albon, but I think Mick may well have surprised us. But there we go. I digress. So on to our last story of the day. And it's F1 team bosses, this is from gpfans.com, have been outraged over Wolff's alleged conflict of interest. This is from Matthew Hopkinson. So, Formula One team principals are reportedly up in arms over what they believe to be a conflict of interest that enables Mercedes' Toto Wolff to access confidential information. And this article is all from the Business F1 magazine, suggesting there's trouble brewing within the paddock. And they report a conflict of interest, and that conflict of interest is with Susie Wolff, Toto Wolff's wife, who is the managing director of the F1, F1 Academy Series, the female, the women's driving championship, which we've seen a bit of. Particularly, Sky focused a lot of it on the US Grand Prix. So, an anonymous source is quoted then as saying the information is flowing both ways from us and to Toto, but of course we're not getting the benefit of that. He is and they are. They said, imagine that Joey Horner or Raquel Stroll were appointed to head up Formula 2 or got a job at Formula 1 or Liberty. A former team principal is also reported to have said it would be a ridiculous conflict of interest and it simply wouldn't be tolerated. And suspicion is thought to have first arisen after Wolff had advanced information about a topic. This came up in a meeting, causing a surprise to a few of those team principals. Now, the publication claimed that the FIA president, Mohammed Ben Salim, he had informal conversations with at least one team principal regarding this issue, and others are understood to be concerned. Now, it's yet unclear as to whether this is the typical paddock politics that exists within the sport, or if any action is indeed to be taken. This, of course, is not the first time that the sport has seen accusations of information swapping or being leaked. The FIA were forced to refute claims last year that Red Bull and Aston Martin had found to have breached prescribed spending limits. And that's, if you remember, down in Singapore, where Wolff had suggested that. And Toto Wolff was like, well, I don't know where he got his information from. And it was leaked. And there was talk of it being leaked to Toto Wolff, which would have made sense, I guess. But then it did make Red Bull look a bit silly when they completely denied it, and then it ended up being the case. no, I remember Horner there being interviewed by the Sky team, going, no, going. To be fair, he said we submitted it far below, and what he was saying is he was intimating that no, they've not breached the budget cap essentially. But they did, and it made him look really, really silly. And I think it continues to make him look silly when people end up talking about it. I think, okay, we should all get over it by now, but that is there now forever. Those interviews with Christian Horner denying it. All team bosses can look a bit silly and hypocritical. I think if you dig up their past, that one though, very much exclamation marks. I think because it is Red Bull, and Red Bull are the team that are winning at the moment. Anyway. It's going to be interesting to see where this one goes. I imagine it's probably because Formula One is now in the off season. Could it be it's just a slow news few weeks until the end of the year, until we get into the pre-season testing and the launches? Maybe. Could there be something to it? Absolutely there could be. So I guess we're going to have to stay tuned to the next coming weeks to see if anything is going to come of it. But there we go. So if you liked what you hear, if you liked what you saw, please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also on Spotify. If you type in the Hot Lap, we are there with you can see that with our Hot Lap logo. Pretty much all of our news stories, like this, for example, will be on our Spotify channel. And all of you liking, all of you commenting, subscribing, it means the world to us. I want to thank you very, very much. Our subscriber count is going up steadily, which is brilliant. Brings a smile to my face. Comments, I try and get to people's comments as soon as I can. I'm sorry if it takes a bit of time, but I will try and answer every comment. This has been the Hot Lap. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.